The remnants of humanity's once proud space fleet now drifted quietly among the stars, leaving forgotten relics and empty stations to float in silence. Among these lost fragments of civilization, Aaron Voss wandered with a mix of bitterness and determination. Once celebrated as one of Earth's finest pilots, he had been cast out, betrayed by the very organization he had sworn to serve. Aaron had flown in dozens of battles, navigated through asteroid storms, and led missions that had saved countless lives. Yet one mistake blamed unfairly on him had ruined everything. A critical mission had gone wrong due to flawed orders from the high command. Instead of receiving acknowledgement for his efforts, he had been court-martialed, stripped of rank, and marked as a rogue pilot. The fleet he once served now regarded him with suspicion, and the galaxy's open reaches seemed to mirror the emptiness he felt inside. For months, Aaron had survived by scavenging derelict stations, small transport missions, and occasional mercenary work. Each day, he reminded himself that he still had skills, that the stars still belonged to anyone daring enough to claim them. And on this particular day, the odds were about to tip in his favor, though not in the way he expected. The station he had docked at was little more than a rusted skeleton of steel. Its corridors were half collapsed, the lights flickering as if they struggled to survive. Dust swirled in the low gravity, and distant groans echoed through the metal bones. Aaron moved carefully, his boots leaving faint prints on the worn surface. Most scavengers had long left this place, claiming it was cursed, haunted by strange equipment failures or worse. Aaron, however, was not afraid of rumors. He had come searching for anything valuable: parts, data logs, even old drones. Yet as he approached the far end of the station, he noticed something strange. A massive shape partially hidden behind broken cargo containers. Its design was unlike anything human. Sleek curves, polished surfaces, and edges that seemed to catch the light in impossible ways. It was a ship, but not one made by Earth. Aaron felt his pulse quicken. He had seen alien designs before, mostly in damaged wrecks. But this ship was whole, or nearly so. It looked as if it had been abandoned intentionally, left here to rot. He circled it, studying every detail. The control panel glimmered faintly, almost as if it was aware of his presence. "Interesting," he muttered, brushing off dust from the hull. Not bad for a scrap. There was a hum, low and almost imperceptible, like the heartbeat of something alive. Aaron frowned but shrugged it off. Old station systems, nothing more. Despite the warnings of other scavengers, he decided to take the risk. He opened the access hatch, the doors sliding with a reluctant groan. Inside, the cockpit was larger than any human design he had seen, with translucent panels and glowing symbols that shifted subtly. The seat itself molded slightly as he approached, as if inviting him to sit. Aaron's hands itched to touch the controls. He had spent his life flying ships, feeling the hum of engines respond to his command. And yet this ship was different. He ran his fingers over the console, feeling a faint vibration, almost like it recognized him. The engines ignited with a soft roar, far quieter than a human ship of similar size. He leaned back in the pilot seat, the ship responding instantly to the slightest thought, almost anticipating his every movement. At first, he assumed it was advanced automation. But deep down, a spark of curiosity stirred. As the ship floated away from the station, Aaron glanced back. The remnants of humanity's fleet in the distance felt like ghosts. He was alone, but for the first time in months, he felt a flicker of excitement. This ship could be his ticket back to glory, or at least a new beginning. Days passed as he navigated the outer rim, testing the ship's systems. It responded faster than any human-engineered craft, adjusting trajectory, shields, and propulsion with uncanny precision. Yet every now and then, he would hear that soft hum, like a whisper, though no words formed. Aaron ignored it, focusing on survival and exploration. He scavenged small, derelict colonies, avoiding other human ships and alien patrols. Each successful maneuver built his confidence, though the subtle signs of the ship's awareness grew harder to ignore. One night, While adjusting course near a field of drifting asteroids, the ship acted before he could give an order. Shields deployed automatically, thrusters fired, and weapons locked on an asteroid, hurtling directly toward him. "What the?" Aaron exclaimed, gripping the controls. The ship stabilized with flawless precision, the asteroid passing harmlessly by. His heart pounded. He stared at the control panel, the glowing symbols shifting as if mocking him. "You're alive," he whispered. Not literally, of course, but the thought crossed his mind that the ship might not be just a machine. Aaron pushed the idea aside. There was no proof. Only instinct. And instinct had kept him alive for decades. He would not surrender to imagination. Yet, as he settled into the rhythms of space travel, small anomalies continued. Systems he had not touched would react, altering navigation slightly. Communications equipment would switch channels without command. Occasionally, he could swear the ship hesitated, as if considering multiple options before acting. One evening, he discovered an old colony transmitting a faint distress signal. A nearby mining settlement was under threat from unknown attackers, possibly alien raiders. Normally, Aaron would have ignored such a call, focusing on survival. But something about the signal drew him in, like a silent urging. The ship seemed to respond instantly, aligning with the signal before Aaron even plotted a course. Hesitation crept into his mind. "Okay. You're helping me," he muttered aloud. Half in disbelief, the hum of the ship's systems seemed to swell, almost like a confirmation. By the time he reached the colony, small fires had already started. Alien drones, sleek and fast, patrolled the skies, scanning for survivors. Aaron maneuvered the ship with daring precision, using his skills combined with the ship's intuitive responses. Weapons fired with perfect timing. Shields adjusted instantly, and the raiders were driven off. The colony's inhabitants stared in awe. Their survival owed to a ship no human could possibly control. Aaron landed on the outskirts, heart still racing, and stepped onto the dusty surface. Children peered from behind crumbling walls, while adults whispered about miracles. For a moment, Aaron allowed himself pride. He had saved them not as a rogue, not as a scorned pilot, but as something more. The ship hummed softly, as if pleased with the outcome. A strange thought struck him. Perhaps he was not alone in the universe, after all. That night, while repairing minor damages on the ship, Aaron contemplated the events. The hum persisted, faint but constant. He realized something essential. This ship was learning from him, observing him, and perhaps even testing him. Unlike human machines, it did not merely follow orders, it responded to his intentions, his style, and even his morals. Aaron felt a mix of awe and unease. If the ship had a mind of its own, what did it want? And could he truly control it? Or was it slowly shaping him, as much as he shaped it? The questions kept him awake, staring at the stars through the translucent canopy. For the first time in months, Aaron felt hope. He had been broken, cast aside, and scorned by his own kind. Yet here, in the emptiness of space, he had found a partner unlike any other, a chance to reclaim his destiny not through human approval, but through his own skill and courage. As sleep finally claimed him, the ship hummed one last time for the night. Not loudly, not aggressively, but softly, deliberately. A pulse of energy ran through the control panels, almost like a heartbeat. Aaron slept unaware that the ship had fully awakened, not entirely from itself, but through him. By morning, the stars gleamed with new possibilities. Aaron would need every ounce of skill, every flicker of instinct, and perhaps a bit of trust in the unknown, if he wished to survive the challenges that awaited. The universe was vast, dangerous, and full of secrets. Yet together, pilot and ship, they might just carve their own legend among the stars. And so began the story of Aaron Voss and the alien ship with a mind of its own. Neither fully human nor entirely alien, both stood on the brink of discovery. The galaxy watched, silent, as the unlikely duo prepared to make their mark. one daring flight at a time. The alien ship moved through the outer reaches of space, with a grace Irene had never experienced before. Its hull reflected the light of distant stars, creating streaks of color that seemed almost alive. Aaron had begun to feel an unspoken connection with it, though he refused to admit the thought out loud. The ship was not just a tool. It was something more, something that challenged his understanding of technology, and perhaps life itself. Aaron spent days testing the ship's systems, running simulations, and exploring abandoned stations. The ship responded instantly, adjusting shields, thrusters, and navigation far faster than any human operator could hope to achieve. He began to notice patterns. When he hesitated, the ship compensated. When he acted boldly, it amplified his maneuvers. At first, Aaron assumed it was simply advanced automation, a sophisticated predictive algorithm. But subtle actions, the tilt of the cockpit, the soft hum that sometimes pulsed like a heartbeat suggested something else. One morning, Aaron set a course toward a cluster of abandoned colonies near the outer rim. The colonies had been left for decades after resource shortages and pirate raids. He planned to salvage equipment and perhaps find supplies to repair the ship further. The moment he approached the first colony, the ship seemed to hesitate. Aaron frowned. "What now?" he muttered. The display flickered, highlighting multiple potential paths through a nearby asteroid field. He had intended to take the safest route, but the ship's systems nudged him toward a narrower, riskier path. "All right," he said, gritting his teeth. "Let's see what you've got." As he steered into the tight corridor of spinning asteroids, the ship responded almost instinctively, gliding past obstacles with impossible precision. Aaron realized he could think about maneuvers, and the ship would act before he could even reach the controls. He couldn't deny it any longer. The ship was aware of him, learning from him, and perhaps even thinking for itself. By the time they reached the colony, Aaron's curiosity had grown into cautious fascination. He landed on the cracked surface, the alien ship lowering silently onto its legs with a precision that seemed deliberate. The colony was deserted, buildings crumbling, dust and debris swirling in low gravity. Aaron began scavenging for anything valuable: energy cells, communication devices, old tools. As he worked, he replayed the events in his mind. The ship had saved him from countless hazards, but it was not merely passive. He remembered the hums, the almost intentional delays or accelerations, the way the ship responded differently depending on his actions. For the first time, Aaron wondered, was it trying to teach him or test him? He found a terminal inside one of the ruined buildings, its systems surprisingly intact. Aaron connected the ship to the terminal and began downloading maps and schematics. As he worked, he realized the colony had once been an advanced human outpost, abandoned only because the outer rim was too dangerous to maintain. If he could repair some of its systems, he might have a base of operations, a place to plan, rest, and recover. Suddenly, the ship's hum changed a sharp, almost impatient vibration that ran through the console. Aaron looked up. The terminal screen flickered and shifted data into an order that he hadn't input. Numbers recalculated, energy grids realigned, and the colony's remaining systems activated slightly. "What are you doing?" Aaron asked aloud, though he already knew the answer. The ship had taken action independently, optimizing the terminal's data faster than he could comprehend. It was not hostile. It was helpful. But it also demanded his attention. Aaron shook his head and chuckled softly. "I guess we're going to learn from each other, huh?" The next days passed in a mix of exploration and adaptation. Aaron began to treat the ship as more than a machine. He would suggest routes. The ship would improve them. He would modify weapons. The ship would integrate them into its systems seamlessly. Together, they became a strange kind of team, one human, one alien, both learning how to anticipate the other. Yet not all lessons were easy. One night, as Aaron set a course through a nebula, sensors picked up multiple small craft moving fast. They were scouts of an unknown alien faction, probing for weaknesses in the outer colonies. Aaron prepared for combat. But before he could act, the ship had already positioned itself for defense, calculating trajectories and energy distributions in ways that made his human calculations seem slow and crude. Bullets and energy pulses flew, yet the ship responded faster than Aaron could follow. Shields flared, engines shifted, and weapons fired preemptively. The enemy craft were taken by surprise, and the battle ended before Aaron could fully understand what had happened. Afterward, he slumped in the pilot's chair, heart racing. "You saved me again," he said quietly, staring at the panels. The ship hummed softly in response, almost like a sigh. He realized something important. To survive, he would need to trust the ship not as a tool, but as a partner. At the same time, Aaron's past continued to shadow him. News reached him via scattered transmissions. Earth's fleet had labeled him officially missing in action, assuming he was dead or lost in space. Old colleagues whispered about a rogue pilot, a man who had vanished into the void. Aaron felt a mix of relief and bitterness. He was free from the fleet's control, yet alone in the galaxy, facing threats far beyond human comprehension. One afternoon, while traveling near a dense asteroid belt, the ship reacted unexpectedly. Sensors indicated multiple unidentified energy signatures moving toward them. Aaron immediately recognized the danger. It was a trap. He tried to maneuver, but the ship anticipated his every move, dodging, weaving, and redirecting power in ways that made his human reflexes almost redundant. "You're thinking ahead of me," Aaron muttered, a mix of awe and frustration in his voice. "I can't even keep up with you," the ship hummed. Not aggressively, not angrily, but patiently. It seemed to be challenging him, teaching him to adapt, to become faster, sharper, more instinctive. By the time the threat had passed, Aaron understood a crucial truth. He could not dominate this ship. To survive, to thrive, he would need to cooperate, to allow the ship to act on its own instincts, while still guiding it with his human intuition. Days turned into weeks. Aaron explored abandoned colonies, salvaged technology, and occasionally engaged hostile forces. Each encounter strengthened the bond between man and machine. The ship seemed to recognize his ingenuity, adapting its strategies based on his previous actions. If he took bold risks, it matched them. If he hesitated, it compensated, ensuring survival. One evening, near the edge of a quiet star system, Aaron reflected on how far he had come. He had gone from a scorned, broken pilot to someone who commanded a ship far beyond human technology. Yet the true journey had just begun. The ship had shown him its capabilities, but its intentions remained a mystery. Was it merely a tool that had become more efficient, or something alive, learning and thinking in its own way? His contemplation was interrupted by a faint distress signal. It was weak, almost imperceptible, coming from a mining colony near a gas giant. Normally, Aaron might have ignored it, but something about the signal drew him in. He felt a subtle vibration through the console, a hint from the ship urging him toward the source. "All right," he said, gripping the controls. "Let's see what's out there." As they approached the colony, the ship moved with uncanny precision. Shields adjusted, engines shifted, and weapons activated automatically. Aaron realized the ship was not just helping him, it was guiding him, preparing for threats he could not yet see. When they arrived, the scene was chaotic. Alien drones hovered over the colony, scanning for energy sources and attacking defenseless structures. The inhabitants scrambled for cover, powerless to resist. Aaron's heart pounded, but he felt a strange confidence. With the ship as an ally, he had a chance to protect them. Together, they fought. Aaron suggested maneuvers, but the ship executed them faster, predicting enemy movements and deploying weapons with surgical accuracy. For the first time, Aaron felt the exhilaration of true partnership. Neither man nor machine acted alone, they were a single force, each complementing the other's strengths. The battle ended with the enemy retreating, the colony spared. Survivors looked at Aaron with awe, whispering about a savior from the stars. He stepped out of the cockpit, exhausted but alive, and for the first time in months, he smiled. The ship hummed softly behind him, almost like a gentle acknowledgement of their success. That night, as Aaron repaired minor damages and studied the colony's systems, he realized how much he had learned. The ship had taught him patience, adaptation, and the value of trust. In turn, he had taught it creativity, intuition, and the human will to survive. The two of them were no longer merely pilot and ship, they were a team, bound by mutual respect and a shared purpose. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, filled with threats beyond imagination. Yet for the first time, Aaron felt ready. With the ship by his side, he could face the unknown, explore uncharted territories, and perhaps reclaim the honor and freedom he had lost. The stars outside glimmered like scattered diamonds, endless and inviting. Aaron Voss leaned back in his seat, the hum of the ship, a comforting presence. Somewhere in the distance, new adventures awaited, adventures that would test both his skill and the ship's mysterious mind. Together, they were ready to rise above the dangers of the galaxy, one daring flight at a time. And so, the ex-human pilot and his awakened ship continued their journey, learning, adapting, and preparing for the challenges that lay ahead. The universe had only begun to take notice of them. The galaxy stretched endlessly around Aaron Voss, filled with stars, asteroids, and unknown dangers. After weeks of navigating derelict colonies, abandoned stations, and scattered pirate bands, he felt more in tune with the alien ship than ever before. Yet with every passing day, he also felt a subtle tension, an unspoken challenge from the ship itself. It had saved him countless times, predicted moves he hadn't even made, and adjusted systems faster than any human pilot could. And yet, sometimes it resisted his commands, delaying actions or choosing paths he would not have chosen. At first, Aaron had grown frustrated, trying to dominate it, asserting that he was the pilot and must control the ship completely. But gradually, he understood that true mastery required partnership, not domination. One morning, as he approached a dense asteroid cluster near the edge of known space, his sensors detected movement, faint traces of ships approaching at high speed. Unlike previous encounters, these vessels were larger, more organized, and unmistakably hostile. Aaron felt his heart tighten. He had faced danger before, but never against enemies so precise, so coordinated. He activated the ship's systems, preparing for combat, but a familiar hum filled the cockpit. The ship tilted slightly, almost impatiently, as if warning him against rushing in without a plan. Aaron clenched his fists. "All right," he muttered. "Let's do this together." The first wave of enemy ships arrived, sleek and deadly. Their weapons glinted in the starlight as they targeted Aaron's alien ship. Instinct took over. He suggested maneuvers, banking sharply through the asteroid field, weaving between rocks that would have crushed a human vessel. The ship responded instantly, amplifying his actions, firing preemptively at enemy fighters, and adjusting shields with precision beyond human comprehension. Even as Aaron marveled, he realized the ship was doing more than following commands. It predicted enemy movements, anticipating attacks before they were launched. For the first time, he understood that the ship was not merely alive. It was thinking, analyzing, and acting independently. Yet it respected his decisions, integrating them seamlessly into its strategy. The battle stretched for hours. Aaron and the ship moved as one, a synchronized force of human ingenuity and alien precision. Yet as the enemy fleet began to withdraw, one massive warship emerged, a command vessel bristling with energy weapons and advanced shielding. Aaron felt a surge of fear. This was no longer a simple skirmish. It was a full-scale challenge. The ship responded immediately, positioning itself between Aaron and the enemy. The hum shifted, pulsing faster, almost like a warning. "I know you can't fight this alone," Aaron whispered. The ship's systems adjusted for maximum efficiency, distributing energy between shields, weapons, and engines. Aaron's mind raced. He realized that victory would require more than reflexes. It would require creativity, daring, and the human instinct for risk. He suggested a maneuver so dangerous that it would have been unthinkable for a normal pilot. Diving directly into a cluster of asteroids, using them as cover, while closing in on the command ship's weak points. The ship hesitated for a fraction of a second, then executed the plan flawlessly, moving in perfect sync with Aaron's intentions. Lasers and energy pulses tore through space, ricocheting off asteroid surfaces as Aaron guided the ship closer to its target. The enemy ship fired relentlessly, yet the alien vessel anticipated each strike. Shields flaring, engines twisting, weapons countering with unmatched speed. Aaron felt a strange exhilaration, a thrill he hadn't experienced in years. This was the peak of human ingenuity combined with alien technology, and he was at the center of it. Hours later, the command ship finally faltered. Aaron took a deep breath, watching as its systems failed, and it drifted silently into the void. The smaller enemy ships fled, leaving the battlefield quiet once more. Aaron slumped in the pilot seat, exhausted, yet filled with a new sense of confidence. "You're incredible," he said quietly, glancing at the ship's control panels. The hum responded softly, almost like an acknowledgement. He realized that they had passed a critical test, not just surviving, but achieving something impossible. After the battle, Aaron reflected on the lessons he had learned. The ship had challenged him, forced him to think faster, to act bolder, and to trust instincts he hadn't relied on in years. In turn, he had shown the ship creativity, adaptability, and the courage to take risks. They were no longer simply pilot and vessel. They were partners, each learning from the other, growing stronger together. Yet despite their successes, questions remained. What was the ship's ultimate purpose? Did it seek a specific goal, or was it simply alive, reacting to its surroundings? Aaron could not answer, but he knew one thing. If he wished to survive in the galaxy, he would need to understand it fully. Days later, while exploring a remote system rich in resources, Aaron discovered traces of an ancient alien civilization. Massive structures floated in orbit, half-ruined and covered in cosmic dust. The architecture was unlike anything he had seen: geometric patterns that seemed impossible to build, energy conduits that hummed faintly even after millennia. Curiosity overcame caution. Aaron guided the ship closer, marveling at the alien design. As they approached one structure, the ship reacted with unusual excitement. Systems flaring softly, lights pulsing in sequence. It was clear the ship recognized something, perhaps a connection to its own origin. Aaron set the ship down carefully on a flat surface. As he stepped out to explore, he felt a strange thrill. The alien civilization had long vanished, yet its traces remained. He realized the ship might have been built for a purpose beyond human understanding, and that purpose was now entwined with his own journey. Inside one of the ruins, Aaron discovered ancient control panels, inscriptions, and holographic projections. They depicted a society that had mastered both technology and thought, merging machinery with intelligence in ways humans had only dreamed. Aaron felt a sense of awe. If his ship came from such a civilization, its capabilities made sense, but its choices, its apparent awareness, were extraordinary. He spent hours studying the ruins, taking notes, and recording data for future analysis. The ship hovered nearby, seemingly attentive, its hum steady and calm. Occasionally, it projected small holographic displays, showing schematics and energy readings that complemented Aaron's research. For the first time, he felt they were truly learning together, not just surviving, but understanding the galaxy's mysteries. Night fell, though in space, darkness was relative. Aaron sat beside the ship's open hatch, staring at distant stars and reflecting on the journey so far. He had once been alone, betrayed by humanity, and scorned by his own fleet. Now, he had a partner unlike any other, a living machine that complemented his abilities, challenged his thinking, and respected his instincts. Yet even in this quiet moment, Aaron sensed a larger purpose forming. The galaxy was vast, filled with threats, mysteries, and civilizations beyond comprehension. He and the ship were no longer just survivors, they were explorers, adventurers, and perhaps the beginning of something far greater than either could imagine alone. A sudden alert interrupted his thoughts. Sensors detected a massive energy signature approaching rapidly, something unlike the enemy fighters he had faced before. It was intelligent, powerful, and unfamiliar. Aaron's pulse quickened. The ship responded instantly, adjusting shields, engines, and weapon systems with precision. "Looks like we have a new challenge," Aaron said, gripping the controls. The ship hummed in response, anticipation clear in its subtle movements. Together, they prepared for the unknown, ready to face threats that neither had ever encountered. As the approaching entity drew closer, Aaron realized the significance of their journey. The ship was no longer merely a vessel or a tool. It was a companion, a guide, and a partner in survival. The galaxy might test them in ways they could not yet predict. But together, they were stronger, smarter, and faster than any opponent. The first encounter with this new entity would define the next stage of their journey. For now, Aaron allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. They had survived impossible odds, defeated a superior enemy fleet, and learned to trust one another completely. That trust would be their greatest weapon in the battles to come. As the stars shimmered beyond the cockpit, Aaron knew one truth. The galaxy was changing. And he and the ship were no longer passive observers. They were participants, adventurers, and perhaps the beginning of a new era. The universe awaited, full of danger and opportunity. And together, the ex-human pilot and the awakened alien ship were ready to meet it head-on. Not as master and machine, but as equals, learning, adapting, and growing with every challenge. The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly before Aaron Voss and his alien ship. Weeks of exploration, skirmishes, and careful learning had brought them to this moment. Every maneuver, every battle, every choice had strengthened the bond between pilot and vessel. Yet the galaxy, vast and unpredictable, was about to test them like never before. A distress signal reached them from the outer edge of a star cluster. Unlike previous signals, this one was urgent, marked by chaos and destruction. An alien armada had descended on a human colony, overwhelming defenses and tearing through supply lines. Aaron's pulse quickened. He had seen many battles, but never a threat of this scale. The signal was almost a call to arms, demanding every ounce of skill, strategy, and courage he possessed. The ship responded instantly, systems flaring, shields adjusting, weapons ready. Its soft hum carried a subtle intensity, as if aware of the danger ahead. Aaron tightened his grip on the controls, feeling the familiar surge of determination. This was no longer about survival, it was about protecting others, proving that humanity's ingenuity and courage could stand against overwhelming odds. As they approached the colony, the scale of the destruction became clear. Smoke and debris floated in the void, and massive alien warships patrolled the skies. The colony's few defenders fought bravely but were clearly outmatched. Aaron felt a surge of urgency. He had to act, but acting recklessly could mean certain death. "All right," he said to the ship. "We do this together. No mistakes, no hesitation." The ship's hum responded, a subtle vibration that seemed to confirm its agreement. For the first time, Aaron fully embraced their partnership. He would guide, suggest, and create. The ship would anticipate, enhance, and protect. Together, they were a single force. The first wave of enemy ships approached. Aaron banked sharply through a field of orbital debris, the ship moving with him in perfect synchronization, weapons fired with precision, shields flaring at the exact moment they were needed. The alien vessels were fast, coordinated, and ruthless. But Aaron's human intuition, combined with the ship's unmatched technology, gave them an edge. He realized that the ship was not just reacting, it was learning from his every move. Each evasive maneuver, each bold decision, was analyzed and integrated, creating a rhythm between pilot and vessel that no enemy could predict. Aaron's mind raced, thinking several steps ahead, while the ship executed with flawless speed. The colony's defenders took notice. Small groups of pilots and automated drones began coordinating with Aaron's attacks. Inspired by his daring maneuvers and the alien ship's capabilities, humanity's ingenuity shone through. Makeshift weapons were integrated with alien systems. Old technology repurposed for new strategies. Aaron felt a spark of pride. Even in the face of superior forces, humans could adapt, innovate, and overcome. Hours passed as the battle raged. Aaron and the ship moved seamlessly through space, predicting enemy strikes, countering attacks, and saving countless lives. Yet the alien armada was relentless. One massive warship, larger and more heavily armed than the others, emerged from behind an asteroid cluster, its energy weapons cutting swathes through the debris. Aaron's pulse quickened. This was the ultimate test. The ship adjusted instantly, shielding the colony and repositioning to gain an advantage. Aaron suggested a daring maneuver, using the asteroid cluster to approach the command ship's weak points. The ship hesitated briefly, as if weighing the risk, then executed flawlessly. Lasers and energy beams ricocheted through space, illuminating the void with dazzling brilliance. Aaron guided the ship closer, using human intuition to predict enemy patterns, while the ship provided speed, precision, and firepower far beyond human limits. Together, they struck at critical points, weakening the command ship's systems. Finally, with a coordinated strike, the alien command vessel faltered. Its shields collapsed, engines failed, and it drifted silently, defeated. The remaining enemy ships scattered, fleeing into the stars. The colony was saved. Aaron exhaled, sweat beading on his forehead. He looked at the ship's panels, glowing softly in response. For the first time, he felt a profound respect, not just for the ship's capabilities, but for its intelligence, its willingness to learn, and its trust in him. "You did it," he whispered. "We did it." The aftermath was quiet but meaningful. Colonists emerged from hiding, cheering for their savior. Automated drones and remaining human pilots approached. Acknowledging Aaron and the alien ship as protectors, he realized that the galaxy had begun to notice, that humanity's courage and ingenuity had proven themselves even in the face of overwhelming odds. That night, as Aaron repaired minor damage to the ship, he reflected on the journey. He had begun as a scorned, betrayed pilot, alone and desperate. Yet through courage, intelligence, and adaptability, he had not only survived, but thrived. The alien ship had challenged him, taught him, and ultimately accepted him as an equal. In turn, he had shown it human ingenuity, creativity, and the value of calculated risk. For the first time, Aaron felt a sense of completion, not an ending, but a beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, dangers, and wonders beyond imagination. And now, he was not alone. The ship was more than a vessel. It was a companion, a partner, and a testament to the potential of humanity to rise above adversity. Days later, Aaron set a course for the Outer Rim, where rumors spoke of ancient alien structures and lost technologies. The ship moved with him in perfect harmony, anticipating his decisions and responding to his thoughts. He realized that this partnership was more than survival, it was evolution. Together, they could explore uncharted territories, uncover hidden civilizations, and face challenges that neither could survive alone. In one remote system, they discovered a planet rich in resources, abandoned yet intact. Aaron began planning a base of operations, integrating human and alien technology in ways never seen before. He modified weapons, enhanced shields, and developed new strategies for exploration. The ship responded with remarkable precision, suggesting adjustments, improving designs, and providing insights into alien engineering far beyond human understanding. As he worked, Aaron reflected on the lessons of the past. Humanity's strength was not just in technology, not just in weapons or ships, but in creativity, adaptability, and courage. Even a scorned pilot, cast aside and forgotten, could rise to greatness when paired with determination and ingenuity. The galaxy, once vast and indifferent, now felt full of possibility. Aaron and the ship were no longer passive wanderers, they were pioneers, protectors, and explorers. The challenges ahead were many, but together, they were unstoppable. One evening, as Aaron gazed at the stars from the cockpit, the ship hummed softly, almost as if communicating. He smiled, realizing that he understood it now. Not fully, but enough. It was a partnership, built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. The galaxy would test them, enemies would challenge them, and mysteries would tempt them. But no matter what lay ahead, they would face it together. The hum grew warmer, almost comforting, blending with the quiet of space. Aaron knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning of their legend. Together, they had survived impossible odds, defeated powerful enemies, and proven that humanity's ingenuity and courage could shine in even the darkest corners of the universe. As they set off toward the stars, Aaron realized one truth. Survival was not enough. Humans could rise, adapt, and thrive, leaving their mark on the galaxy. And with a partner like the alien ship, there was no limit to what they could achieve. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and Aaron Voss, the scorned ex-human pilot, smiled. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of mysteries, but with courage, intelligence, and partnership, humanity could face anything. And together, he and the alien ship would meet every challenge, explore every corner, and carve their own legend among the stars. The hum of the ship pulsed gently, a heartbeat of partnership, trust, and possibility. The universe was theirs to explore, and for the first time in years, Aaron felt truly alive.